In South Los Angeles, Carlitos Ricardo Parais was boxed in by U.S. Marshals and ICE for being here illegally. Instead of abiding by the law of a traffic stop, Carlitos decides to use his car to ram into the ICE agents. Carlitos, ¿qué estás haciendo? The funny thing is, Carlitos is known on TikTok as Richard L.A, where he documents immigration enforcement activities. You couldn't tell based off of your own film this wasn't gonna end well? Come on, gang. And it sure didn't end well, since you want to use your vehicle as a weapon. ICE pulled out the real weapon. Carlitos got shot in the funny bone, but nobody was laughing because bullets was ricocheting everywhere. A deputy U.S. Marshal got hit in the hand by one of those ricocheted bullets. This entire incident was 100% avoidable if Carlitos would have gotten his papers. I see all this bad advice on TikTok on how to interact with ICE agents. The best way to interact with ICE agents is being here legally. Follow the law and you won't have any issues. Don't be like Carlitos and fight back if you get caught. You knew damn well you wasn't supposed to be here. Keep it up, Donald Trump. Ow.
And an illegal immigrant arrested after allegedly ramming his vehicle into ICE agents' cars. Carlito Parais, a 44-year-old from Mexico and living in South Los Angeles, had his first court hearing on Wednesday. Parais is reportedly a close follower of ICE actions on his TikTok, where he posed as a self-proclaimed citizen journalist named Richard L.A. On Tuesday, authorities conducted a targeted traffic stop blocking his Toyota Camry. Parais allegedly started ramming the vehicle in front of and behind him. Activists claim that he is a pillar of his community.
We know about Richard, he's a very pacifist man. He's very calm. A lot of the police officers here know him. They know that he's very respectful. In fact, the city of Los Angeles has awarded him for the work that he does in the community. So we find it very odd what's being said about him.
According to a DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin, officers, quote, followed their training and fired defensive shots. Parais was hit in the elbow, and a marshal trying to subdue him through the driver's side window was struck with a ricochet bullet to his hand.
He is a well-known TikToker, but the DHS says that he's now facing a federal charge, and if convicted, he may spend several years in prison. Carlitos Ricardo Parais has more than 130,000 followers on TikTok. Known as Richard L.A. on TikTok, he built his following shooting video of police scenes and immigration enforcement in the L.A. area. In August, he was recognized for his work by the Deputy Chief of Staff for Los Angeles City Council member Curran Price, a moment shared on the council member's Instagram. But today, the acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley said Richard was the target of an immigration enforcement, and it ended with him shot. Asaley said Richard is living in the country illegally and avoided arrest by immigration authorities before.
Well, I don't know why in this situation what happened.
Pierre Rojas is Richard's friend. He responded to the scene this morning and shot this video. Asaley said Richard rammed his car into federal agents' vehicles after they boxed him in. Ultimately, Asaley said an agent opened fire, hitting Richard and a U.S. Marshal. Asaley said both are expected to recover. Right now, Richard is at a South L.A. hospital where supporters gathered outside. Among them, Carlos Jurado, immigration attorney now working with the family.
What we know about Richard is he's a very pacifist man. He's very calm. A lot of the police officers here know him. They know that he's very respectful. So we find it very odd what's being said about him.
The acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley said Richard is now facing a charge for assault on a federal officer. In a post tonight on X, Asaley said in part, quote, vehicles are deadly weapons. Anyone who uses them against federal agents risk arrest, imprisonment, and life-threatening injuries. And tonight, the U.S. Marshal Service confirmed that their agent is recovering and stable. As for Richard, he's in the hospital right now, but acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley said he's expected to make his initial court appearance here at the Roybal Federal Building tomorrow, and if convicted, he may face up to 8 years in federal prison.
Hey everyone, I hope you are taking care of yourselves today. mentally, emotionally, and everything in between. As always, thank you for tuning in to Echo Room Vibes, and much respect to the originators and stitches of the video we're discussing. Your work helps us all look closer, think harder, and care deeper about what's unfolding around us. Today's stories out of Los Angeles raises a lot of questions about community immigration and the dangerous line between civil enforcement and human chaos. It's about a man named Carlito Parais, also known online as Richard L.A., a self-proclaimed citizen journalist who is reportedly been documenting ICE operations across Southern California. So let's just dive into the rest of the video and we'll be back for more commentary.
Carlitos Ricardo Parais, also known as Richard L.A., a well-known TikTok streamer and citizen journalist in Los Angeles, has become the latest Latino reporter to be targeted by ICE. Hello everyone, my name is Juan Diego Ramirez for the Latino newsletter, and this is what's happening. This week, Richard L.A. was involved in a shooting following an incident with federal agents. Richard, who is known for his immigration and police activity live streams, was among many streamers on TikTok filming ICE operations back in July. Federal officials say that Richard was under surveillance as part of an administrative arrest warrant when agents boxed his car in and ordered him to get out. Acting U.S. Attorney Bill Esseley claims Richard rammed his car into law enforcement vehicles, causing agents to worry for their safety and opened fire. Richard was hit in the arm, and a deputy U.S. Marshal was also injured after being struck by a ricochet bullet from a fellow officer. Both the officer and Richard are in stable condition. But the shooting raises questions about ICE tactics. Experts note that firing at moving vehicles is generally discouraged because of the danger to bystanders. Still, it's unclear how long ICE had been watching him or why agents chose to make that arrest then. His lawyer, Carlos Jurado, says that access to Richard has been limited since the shooting. Richard is the third Latino journalist this year to be targeted during immigration operations. In August, Colombian-born influencer Tatiana Mafla Martinez was detained by ICE in Los Angeles. And in Georgia, Mario Guevara, a Salvadoran journalist who had lived in the U.S. for more than 2 decades, was detained and later deported. Both incidents fuel concerns that independent Latino journalists covering ICE are being singled out. Richard now faces a federal charge of assaulting an officer, which carries up to 8 years in prison. For now, the case is on hold while Richard recovers and his legal team prepares for court. For more on this, follow the Latino newsletter, as we'll keep you updated.
Wow, my people. It is confirmed that Mr. Richard, who was shot by immigration today and then arrested by immigration, now also faces criminal charges and could spend up to the next 8 years in prison. Yes, my people, Richard, well known on social media for documenting what ICE does in Los Angeles, was shot and arrested today while they were trying to catch him. And just look at what the U.S. prosecutors are saying. This is the U.S. prosecutor. Bill is the one handling Richard's case. Carlitos Ricardo Parais, 44 years old, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico living in South Los Angeles, now faces criminal charges for assaulting a federal agent. Tomorrow is his first appearance, and if found guilty, he could spend up to 8 years in a federal prison. And this morning, Parais crashed his car into an agent's car after they stopped him to arrest him. Parais, who had previously managed to escape from immigration authorities, refused to follow the agent's orders and turned what should have been a simple arrest into a life-threatening situation. Death Park crashed his Toyota Camry into the ICE officers in front and behind him. Then he started burning rubber, trying to speed away and endangering the lives of the agents. Eventually, one of the agents opened fire, hitting Parais and another immigration officer who was indeed struck by a bullet. Fortunately, both Parais and the agent are going to recover, but Parais was arrested and is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So not only was Richard shot and arrested, but now he is facing very serious charges and could spend years in prison. Without a doubt, a very tough situation. But anyway, let me know what you think. Share this so everyone knows, and as always, remember that I'll keep you the most informed.
Welcome back, fam. Earlier this week, Parais was arrested after allegedly ramming his car into vehicles belonging to ICE agents during what officials call a targeted traffic stop. According to reports, agent boxed in his Toyota Camry and what followed was chaos. Authorities say Parais accelerated, striking the cars in front and behind him. In that split second, ICE agents fired what they called defensive shots. Parais was hit in the elbow, and a federal marshal was also wounded by a ricocheted bullet. Now, here's where this story becomes complicated, because community members describe Parais as the complete opposite of what the scene suggests. Activists say he's a pacifist, a calm communicator, a man known for filming law enforcement encounters and encouraging transparency, not confrontation. The city of Los Angeles even recognized him for his community work. So when people heard that this same man allegedly rammed ICE vehicles and was met with gunfire, it didn't line up with the version of him they knew. And that tension between who someone is in the community and how they are treated in an enforcement encounter has been a long-running issue in Los Angeles, especially around immigration. Let's take a step back. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, operates under a dual mandate: enforcement of immigration law and maintaining public safety. But the way that plays out on the ground has always been controversial. In California, especially Los Angeles County, local officials have often pushed back on federal immigration raids, arguing they erode trust in immigrant neighborhoods. When community members stop calling the police out of fear, they will be turned over to ICE. Everyone loses, including public safety. So, when someone like Parais, a man reportedly documenting ICE activity online, ends up in a violent confrontation, it taps into years of tension between federal enforcement and community surveillance. Was this a moment of panic, a misunderstanding, or something that escalated too quickly on both sides? We don't know what triggered Parais' actions, whether he thought he was being targeted, whether fear took over, or whether it was a deliberate act of resistance. But what's clear is that this kind of encounter shows how fragile the space is between observation and confrontation, especially when one side carries authority and the other carries distrust. And it's not lost on anyone that this happened in South Los Angeles, a place where Black and Latino communities have long histories of surveillance, both from local and federal authorities. This isn't new. It's part of a cycle where people documenting power often find themselves treated like a threat instead of a participant in accountability. Now, ICE has said their officers followed their training, a statement that sounds clinical, almost bureaucratic, but it leaves a deeper question. What does that training look like when community members are involved? If this was a man known for peaceful civic engagement, should there have been a different way to de-escalate? Or was it simply a high-risk situation that turned volatile in seconds? On the flip side, it's also fair to say ICE agents don't know who's behind the wheel in real time. They don't have the luxury of hindsight. If someone starts ramming vehicles, that becomes a threat assessment, not a political statement. From their perspective, defensive shots are part of protocol. That's what makes this story so layered. Both sides can point to fear as their reason for reacting. And fear in enforcement spaces is gasoline. It ignites everything. As we wait for more information, there are a few realities we can't ignore. Los Angeles has one of the largest undocumented populations in the country. Over 750,000 people, according to Pew Research Center estimates. Many live and work openly, but with quiet anxiety about encounters with ICE. And for every headline about an arrest or a raid, there are hundreds of daily interactions that never make the news. People watching, filming, running, or just trying to exist under a system that often sees them as paperwork before people. Carlito Parais or Richard L.A. represent that fragile in-between, a man who both documented power and lived under its shadow. His story, whatever the truth turns out to be, forces us to ask what community trust really means when federal enforcement operates in neighborhoods that already carry decades of distrust. So tonight, maybe the real conversation isn't just about ICE or pariahs or who rammed who first. Maybe it's about how America's systems of accountability, safety, and justice collide, sometimes literally, when fear leads and understanding follows too late. Stay safe out there, everyone. Keep asking questions, and remember, compassion and awareness are just as powerful as critique. Thank you again to the originators and stitches of this video for sparking such an important discussion. And thank you, as always, to the Echo Room Vibes community for watching, thinking, and feeling deeply. Until next time, stay grounded, stay thoughtful, and stay aware. From Echo Room Vibes, peace out.